Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in. Dr. Judy WTF with the Freud here. And today we're going to talk about holiday time with narcissists. And this is a topic that I will replay on Thanksgiving. A little different topic. Actually, we're going to be talking on Thanksgiving, a replay on stuffing your feelings. But I can't seem to say enough about what it's like on a mind, body, soul level to sit with narcissists and not be mirrored and not be attuned to. And unfortunately, this is the holiday season coming upon us. And so let's get prepared so that you can mind your boundaries, not lose your cookies, and somehow come out of this as untriggered, if that's possible, as possible. So this is a call-in show, everybody. I want to hear from you. 323-524-2599. And if you haven't already, request a copy of my book, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect. And download that book because it is a complete breakdown of the mind map system, obviously written by me. And it's a way for you to learn how to think like a shrink and connect the dots so that you could see that whatever it is that you are suffering from is an outcome of a system gone wrong and a bad blueprint. And through doing the mind and map system work, you can look at what it is that went awry in your childhood, how you reacted to that, what you encoded there, how that triggered you into chaos, defenses, and breakdowns, and how to process the psychological poison so that you don't get stuck in a what the Freud loop. And so sometimes holiday season seems like an up and coming nightmare to many people. Why? Because they just don't know what to do. They're stuck again with their narcissistic mother, narcissistic father, narcissistic siblings, narcissistic exes, narcissistic children, narcissistic anyone. And as many of you know, the Psychological Healing Center is specializing in many kinds of childhood wounds, including narcissistic abuse recovery. So let's get ready for the holiday season so that you can keep your food down and maybe enjoy yourself if at all possible. It's just going to take a little bit of preparation on your part. So please call in. I'm going to go through the mind map so that you can help yourself to another helping of what is this business of narcissistic systems gone wrong? How do people end up with this empathy chip missing, as I like to call it? Because clearly there is something missing in human beings that just don't have the capacity or the desire to connect to other human beings. And clearly, they are playing a different game of life, and a game of life that maybe is not a very pleasant one for you to engage in. So let's break it down, and everyone can see the mind map, I hope, in just a minute. And there it is, hopefully up on the screen. You can see panel 1, 2, 3, wounds of childhood, the reactions to those wounds, the encodings of those wounds. That is the past. So what do I mean by wounds? There are 5 ones that I particularly talk about, and then we're going to talk about that nasty narcissistic system gone wrong, which is a special and painful kind of wounding. So we've got physical abuse, obviously. We've got verbal abuse, obviously. Sexual abuse, obviously. Emotional, physical neglect, obviously. And then we've got controlled smothering, spoiling as the 5th wound. And then the narcissistic wound is where the parent flips the system on the child. The parent or the parents flip the system on the child or children. And instead of putting their needs as number 1, they put, instead of putting the child's needs as number one. They put their own needs as number one, and therefore the child is lost in the emotional feeding system and develops what I refer to as a hole in the soul, and then has horrible reactions to this, feelings of emptiness, encoding horrible messages like you're not enough, or even worse, why was I even born, and what am I still doing on the planet? So this is very, very serious. It's clearly extremely injurious to the recipient of the system gone wrong, and it's going to show up at important events like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and any holiday that you happen to celebrate. And why particularly around those holidays? Because holidays are a time when people share their stories. They may share their pain, their losses, their victories, and their failures, and so on. And what narcissists like to do, of course, as many of you do know, is they love to rob the show, and they love to attach themselves to your pain. And if you're in pain, they will definitely use that pain to create more gain for themselves in the sense of feeling better about themselves because you're in pain. So the formula goes something like, the more you hurt, the better they feel. And I could go on with poetry here. And this happens just about at every meal, and particularly at holiday meals, because that's when people want to look their best and feel their best. And how does a narcissist feel at their best? Is by being victorious over other people and using their pain against them, and also putting down their victories, because God forbid you should be better than a narcissist and wealthier than a narcissist. So if anyone's gained a little weight, or anyone has undergone some sort of something that someone can point a finger at, you'll be sure to hear about it. And so let's get ready for this. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to help today about how to neutralize conversations so that you don't engage in emotionally loaded conversations. So number one, what I like to tell people is, instead of sharing anything with narcissists that they could use against you, you're better off staying pH neutral with them. And what do I mean by that? Pass the salad, or, oh my God, that turkey is amazing, or can you give me more stuffing, please? Or, yeah, so how was the Dodgers game or basketball game that you observed? So what I'm getting here is that your conversations should be object oriented and not oriented toward trying to convey to them any of your feelings, victories, hurts. Forget it. It's not going to be mirrored. It's not going to be empathized with, and you're going to feel hurt, abandoned, triggered, any one of those, if not all of the above. And this is a call-in show, everybody. So I want to hear from you. Let's get you prepared, because I know that many of you are going to be in this situation, have been in this situation, and let's just play a better game of life, okay? So if there are any questions in the chat room, if anybody wants to call, I prefer calls over chatting, just because I like to talk to my audience. And so just a little bit about the Psychological Healing Center. Please know that we give free 15-minute consultations or full consultations to see if this system is something that you're ready for. And this system takes place in a 10-session therapy modality. We do keep therapy very, very pointed and very psychoeducational, and we hold close to the mind map so that people can actually learn, process the feelings, And as a result of the mind map, clear out old hurts and pains and unresolved issues, process the emotions, and close the emotional files, which is the most important and powerful way to make you immune to childhood triggers, and setting boundaries, making you more immune to inviting trouble back into your life. So we have a beautiful team of people here. And of course, many of you who've been watching the show know that I have a mind map video series that you are also free to purchase. And this video series is quite a chock full of information video series. It's me breaking down the mind map. And so that my purpose with you is to help you think like the shrink. And of course, it's best served, the video that is, by watching the video, reading the book, and which you can get a hard copy of, by the way, on Amazon, and also enlisting the help of a therapist. So by all means, do reach out and let's see if this is something that's for you and that you're ready for. So back to
Dr. Judy, we have a call.
Okay, so hello, and what is your name, please?
Dylan, Jackie Kidwell.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in. Where are you calling from, Jackie?
Kentucky.
Well, that's a pleasure to talk to you. And what brings you into this conversation? And of course, we're going to focus on the holidays and sitting at a table with narcissists. So what the Freud is going on with you and your family?
Well, I'm so glad I caught your show tonight. I've never called in. I've watched a couple of them. But all of this narcissism stuff is brand new to me. My mother is obviously my issue, and I am basically petrified that it's a matter of a day or two, a week before I start hearing from her asking, what are we doing? Where are we going? Who's getting together? And I've just learned about all of this, and I've been kind of putting some distance between. Some things happened not too long ago, but long story short, I'm trying to kind of put some distance between us, and usually that's okay with her. But the holidays are coming up, and I know out of family duties and looking good, I think, to everyone else, yes, we're going to have to get together and go out and eat. Okay. And I don't want to.
Okay, no, fair enough. And, you know, again, this is not a forced job. Nobody is required to do anything. However, we do live in an imperfect world. And if it is bearable and you have the skills to weather the storm, then I always recommend, except in extreme cases, and I have had several people who have been in extreme cases where they absolutely had to walk away. They absolutely had to cut off the toxic parent or family member. So unless you're in that situation, I think it's smarter, strategic, and again, it's not a show of your weakness or caving into. It's just that it's a family gathering, and your job is to enjoy yourself and connect with people who care and love you and who can offer support and empathy and light, basically, to your life. And what I mean by light, I don't want to sound so airy fairy and vague. What I mean by it is that they contribute to your life. So as a result of your interaction with people who bring you light, you feel more than and not less than. Unfortunately, with narcissists, as you know, right? How do you feel after you've interacted with your mother?
Well, you know, it always kind of just depends. We go in waves, and we have for years. It seems like if everything is good, then everything's okay. But this year, and I told her this was before I even found out about the whole narcissist thing. Mm-hmm. I just told her, look, and I just ended up she was here at my house. I stood up and I said, look, you need to leave. And when we got outside, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to know what did she do or say, or what did she trigger in you that she's been doing and saying all along that led you to just have enough?
Well, gosh, it's I don't think there's enough time to explain it. How I'm 52. That's for starters. I'm 52, and I wish that I had learned about this when I was 20, because it would have made such a difference. And as sad as it is, I've seen therapists all of my life, and no one ever said your mother's a narcissist.
This is a specialty, and most people. I just recently had a patient of mine call me who completed the mind map system and got some extra support from somebody from because they were grieving, and the person specialized in grief. And the person said something, in my opinion, very, very unmirroring and unnurturing. Person said, look, life is full of pain, get over it. Okay, get over it with aging mother. And who's that putting first?
Right.
And so that's a really, really injurious statement, especially for a therapist to say to a patient. And this is not uncommon. And because I just don't think most people get that narcissists are really, really missing a chip. Okay, you can't just say, you hurt my feelings, whatever you're doing feels so toxic, I'm walking away from this, because they, number one, do not know how to self-reflect and self-correct. To them, any sort of criticism is finger pointing and so brutally shameful and painful that they'd rather just project vomit all over you and bring you down. Okay, so it's a direct attack on them, and they just will not have it. And then third of all, they're playing a game of power and control. And I've talked about this on several episodes. It's almost like if you and I are playing a game of checkers or chess, and they're playing another game, and that's called power and control. Okay, not that chess.
Right.
But I think you get the drift. It's just a different game board. So the end game in the mind map system is to create synergistic relationships, to help people become as whole and complete as possible in order to humanly connect with others, develop empathy skills, develop languaging that doesn't break the bond. And by the way, if any one of you still don't have the peaceful healing dialogue, I highly recommend that you go on my website, psychologicalhealingcenter.com, go under the form section and just pull a copy of the peaceful healing dialogue off of my website. And it's really a way to have a conversation without breaking the bond, or to have a conversation to really complete a relationship and let it go and get as much closure as possible. Okay, so tell me a little bit about who's coming to dinner. And who's coming?
I've not. This last time that I guess it was the end of September, is the last time we've actually spoke to each other. It was on her 72nd birthday. And of course, looks like she's 60. She's not one of these little old, she's totally, I guess there's so many different, I'm learning so much. There are so many different kinds of narcissists, and she's obviously a covert, very sneaky in her ways, kind of, but she's a very fit and pretty, and everything's wonderful in her world. And so it's really hard when you go up against her, because I feel like this little tiny girl, little kid, and she is this big giant, and you have to tiptoe around her because, well, I guess with all narcissism, you have to do that. But this last time, it was over Basically, I'm trying to buy my house, and the everything fell through at the last second. I needed a cosigner. I rarely ask my mother for anything, and when I do, I'm almost sick over it. If I have to crawl to her and ask her for anything, and she knows that. And so I thought maybe since she knew how excited I was and how hard I've worked, maybe since it fell out at the last second, maybe she would co-sign. And I only needed her signature for 3 months until my boyfriend, till he files taxes, and we could do that. I promised her to put her on the deed. If anything happened, the house is hers.
Yeah, that's so decent. So you're guaranteeing that no harm can come her way, because if she's on the deed, of course,
yes,
she can foreclose if you don't pay. Okay, very decent. And what was her response?
Yes. Oh, you have to have a plan with my mother when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I was fully aware of what I was going to do after the events of her birthday, and was just to sit down and say, hey, because this is such a good deal, I'll just throw in real quick. The house appraised 2 months ago for $210,000, and I'm getting it for $130,000. I'm also on disability for anxiety and depression. So this is, and I'm single. So this is something that has never happened to me. I'll never get a chance like this again. And she knows this. She knows how excited I've been. So I just thought maybe, just maybe, she would somehow be able to find it in her cold, cold heart to say, okay, you know what, I'll do this for you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So what did she say?
Okay. Well, I then even, at first I could tell she does what she always does, which is kind of starts throwing those looks like, how dare you? I do not put me in this position. I don't want to talk about this. Change the subject. And I stayed calm, cool, and collected the whole time. I told her about being on the deed. I told her, Donnie is going to be able to do this in 3 months. Donnie was there with me. We've been together for 18 years. He's got a great job. He's a plumber. He makes $20 an hour. All of this she knows. And instead of saying, well, you know what, and being decent about it, I also promised her that if she wanted to talk to an attorney, I would pay for an attorney to write up anything that would make her feel comfortable in doing this for me.
I mean, I'm hearing how much you want to guarantee her and make sure that she doesn't sign up for harm's way. And you're even offering the really, of course, everybody has the right to say no. Okay, it goes without saying.
Right. Yes.
It's just that in the case of narcissists, I think there's something else going on here where, as you said, you're trying to appeal to her cold heart. So I'm going to point something out to you about what I mean by the WTF, or what the Freud, as I like to put it, which is that, okay, because this is seriously, I had the pleasure of being in Vienna, Austria, just a couple of weeks ago, and I went to visit the Freud house. It was really, really fun for me to be there. That's a whole nother story. I keep saying that I'm going to post pictures, and I think I'll try to get some together so that people can a little bit get in on the experience. But what Freud was famous for was the repetition, lots of things. He was very into discovering the unconscious. He talked about dreams being the royal road to the unconscious. He talked about the repetition principle and so on. And so what people do is they go back to the injurer. They keep going back. This is what the Freud cycle, even though they know and that her heart is cold, even though we know that there's going to be some kind of a shutdown and lockout and human disconnect there, we have a prayer in our heart that this time it is going to be better, right? And this time it's going to be different. And so if all of you can understand that the more you wish and hope and pray, in the case of a narcissistically injured person who exhibits these symptoms, so to speak, of the disorder, lack of ability to empathize, taking pleasure in hurting another human being, demeaning, devaluing, and destroying, and so on and so forth, and playing this kind of game of life, the more you wish and hope that something's going to be different, the bigger the pain. So put that formula in your head. So you see,
Right.
like you're raising the expectation. That's the wish and the hope, and then boom, you're going to crash down. Okay, and so after a while, the answer is pretty simple. Don't do that to yourself. But what do? No, we do that to ourselves because we want to go back into the pain and this time come out with a better result. And I want to direct all of you once again to my video called Herders Cannot Be Healers. Herders can't be healers. So we've got to stop the madness, stop the repetition principle, so that when you're sitting at your dinner table, and tell me who's going to be there.
Last year it was me, her, and my boyfriend. My sister had went to Florida. My niece, her husband is in his own little narcissistic world, and our family is kind of crumbling. My dad passed away 12 years ago. He was the glue that held everyone together. And so it's just getting less and less. My nephew has walked away from his mother, which is my sister, who I believe is probably also, she's got a lot of narcissistic tendencies. She sides with mom, or shall I say, she never says anything. She sits back and watches everything, but she never jumps in and says, okay, look, I see what's going on. And so it probably won't be anyone, but the thing is, if Thanksgiving falls through, there's going to be Christmas. And I just
the other. So I'm gathering that the straw that broke the camel's back is when she said no to you, even though you were so careful to guarantee her through the deal. Yes, is that what broke?
Yes. Well, the thing was that night she sat there with literally. She's one of those that her eyes. She can just literally shoot like arrows into you. And I knew she wasn't going for it, but I hung in there trying to tell her, if you would look at this as a business point of view instead of me being your daughter. And she finally said, okay, fine, Jacqueline. I've got to go in now, but if you contact your attorney, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. And she was very ugly and blunt. I hugged her, told her I loved her. I left. 2 days later, I get a message from her, and that is what did it for me. She very bluntly and really, she went through the whole thing of, I'm not going to sign. And then she went through telling me about how I should be thankful for what I do have and not be wanting things out of my reach. Just went through a whole lot of things I've always wanted. I've been on disability since I was 25 for anxiety, depression, and panic attacks that I know now relates 100% to her. Okay. And she doesn't ever say anything about me being on disability because it's an embarrassment to her. So she threw that up in my face that I get an $800 free check every month with free insurance. And I've had things handed to me. And my life has been one huge struggle, but she never acknowledges that. But anyway, I'm going to try to get to my point. She ended it with, so I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do this. You ruined my birthday. She said you badgered and berated me, which was not true. And you ruined what I thought was a good birthday, and I deserved to have a good birthday. And she said, I hope that you will still want to be a part of my life, or something to that effect. But if you ever, and this was her exact words, if you ever come at me with something like this again, we are through. You are no longer my daughter.
Wow.
And that to me, yes, that's not something that I was very surprised that she wrote it down and sent it to me, because I could actually show that to people and say, this is what she said to me. But she did.
In the form of a letter, email, what was it? Text? How did she do it?
It was, it was a Facebook message.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
And yeah,
the best defense is offense. So she came at you. It would have
yes.
been hard enough just to hear, I've decided not to sign and not add all the other
Yeah.
stuff. So
Oh, had she said, Jacqueline, I would love to do this for you, but I don't feel comfortable with it. I want you to get the house. I know how excited you've been. If there was any kind of emotion or empathy there, I would have been okay with her saying no. It was the fact that I knew she was going to say no and the way she did it.
yes, okay. Okay, so this is the mother that you're thinking of having dinner with. Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch, yikes. Okay. Okay, so proceed with caution. If you're going to do this, then please check your expectations at the door. Okay. Please.
I don't think I can. I just don't think I can.
Okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I said, all of this is so new to me that I'm still going through I'm reading, and I'm watching your videos. I'm watching other videos and learning. And every day something just jumps out and waves at me and says, hello, this is your life. And I'm angry and I'm hurt and I'm 1,000 things right now. And one thing that really bothered me too is I don't know what she went and told my sister and my niece. Those are the three closest people to me. My sister, who's 4 years older than me, she's the golden child. And it's so funny because I always called her that before I knew there was such a term in the narcissistic world.
Right. Okay. So, okay, I want to make an important point because I hear how much pain you're in. And one of the nastiest things that I see in the dynamics between narcissistic parents and children is that there is a definite distancing from any responsibility for creating the anxiety and the depression in you. Because the way I write the book,
they won't even acknowledge it.
They will not acknowledge
they
it.
They say it's all fake.
But
No.
they will criticize it, mean, and devalue you for it. So it's sort of like creating this hurt in you, you reacting to the pain, and then them hating you for reacting to the pain. So this is extremely painful and something that obviously would be wonderful for you to address in therapy because it's a betrayal. It's so much anger, and this kind of anger makes people sick because what they do with it is they stuff it down, which is the depression. They implode on it. So you're probably an imploder, okay? And then the anxiety is the feelings trying to bubble up to the surface, but then the anxiety can't be properly metabolized and expressed. So I'm just trying to show you in the audience how this thing works because all of this is stuffing down feelings, and then you can't share and clear the feelings toward the perpetrator, which is your mother. And I don't know much about your father, but your mother in this case. And so because you can't clear it with her, we try again to open up the file and see if this time they'll clear the slate and help us heal. And over they don't. So look, you don't have to decide today. You are learning, you're understanding that something really, really unhealthy went down, and you don't have to subject yourself to this. If you should decide to have dinner with her or be in her presence, I'm thinking that your best strategy, and it's a strategy, is to stay distantly polite and move away from her and engage with other people who give you more light, okay, more engagement, more nurturing. Do not share your feelings with your mother. Do not let her know how hurt you are. Do not let her know how she let you down, disappointed you, depressed you, made you anxious. Don't give it to her. Don't give it to her because they actually feed on people's emotions. They just love it. So, give me more.
Yeah, and that's so crazy. I'm learning all that. Right. It's just crazy to me. that they feed off of it. That's crazy.
Absolutely. So this is a feeding frenzy. So not only are you going to be eating your narcissistic mother's horrible, toxic uh, triggers, you'll be soaking those in, and you'll be eating it with hopefully beautiful food, and it's not a good combination. It's not going to make for good and because you're supposed to relax during the holidays. So if you're going to do it, if any one of you are going to do this, please do not share your feelings with your narcissistic family members, and keep it pH neutral. Oh, what a beautiful salad. Oh my goodness. Your furniture.
Yeah, but see, my mother is one that, and I wrote this in the comments before I called, is the thing is, that's what my mother does as soon as you walk in the door. Because if you can believe this, she had the nerve to message me the next day and say, did you find anybody to co-sign? And I about fell on the floor, and I did not write her back. Okay. And I haven't spoke with her since.
Please don't. She already declared her position. And at this point, you have every right to act as if, and it is so, none of her business. It's none of her business.
Yes.
Okay. And again, it's not because she said no. You're very correct about it. It's not because she said, I'm not comfortable doing this, because that's an acceptable human choice that she gets to make. Okay. It's the way she went about it, and the coldness and the lack of empathy. And that's the part that hurts. So please, if you want, check in with me, and we could talk further about it, because this is such an evil sort of a dis-ease, if you will, and it affects the psyche in such horrible ways. Most therapies do not address the healing part of it. They don't even understand narcissism as a system gone wrong, and many clinicians are not even aware of the impact of narcissistic abuse. So you've got to get somebody who specializes in it, okay, and make sure that person is a therapist, somebody who is licensed or under somebody's license, and someone who has had training specifically in it, okay?
Right.
So please feel free to reach out. And if anyone else wants to call in, I'll give you.
Can I send that was going to be my ending question was, I know that you had said you did or that you guys have 15-minute sessions, and I thought maybe do I just get on your website and I can find a link where I can message you? Or
you can even write me, Dr. Judy, DRJUDY, at psychologicalhealingcenter.com. Just write me, okay? And then do a consultation, and then I can guide you insofar as who to work with on the team, and keep it as budget friendly as possible. Some people are on a budget, some people are not on a budget. I'm trying to have real quality team members who are educated and passionate and possess empathy. And I really want to put out a couple of things. Number one, even if you're a smart therapist, if that therapist lacks empathy, it ain't gonna fly, okay? Cannot fake it till you make it in this profession. Just doesn't work, because at the core of it, we're animals and we're souls, and we could feel if somebody cares or they don't care. And so narcissism hurts. So when you feel that somebody is just trying to brush you off or intellectually give you the right information, you will feel that in your heart, and you will feel on a somatic level, you will feel the disconnect, and that'll show up perhaps in your shoulders or in your jaws, different parts of your back, because the mind and the body are connected. So thank you, and do reach out, okay?
I will, and thank you so much for taking my call.
You're very welcome. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Okay, so I hope you guys are getting it. This is not a joke. When you expose your feelings to narcissists, they will jump on it, and they will demand to use those feelings to feed their narcissism. So if you're happy and they can make you sad, they get some kind of a psychological point for that, some kind of a psychological plus sign in their system. If you're feeling sad, they'd love to jump on that too and drag you down and kick you when you're down. So again, how do you avoid this pain and suffering? Well, if you don't have to and want to invite these people to your dinner table, don't. And if you happen to invite them just because they're part of your family and you don't want to cut them out, please stay pH neutral. Do not engage much with them. You want to stay politely removed, and you want to enter into object-related conversations, not emotionally laden conversations. And hopefully bring with you somebody who's kind and loving and connected. Okay, remember, I'm in the business of healing human disconnect, and I can't think of more disconnected dynamic than the narcissistic dynamic. And why does this happen? Is because they have hardened their heart because of their childhood pain. So what happens to people who have been hurt? Well, they wall off and they throw away their basic human qualities. And so they operate again out of power and control, manipulation. They don't want to connect because for whatever reason, it's too painful to connect. And over the years of abuse or neglect, they've learned that human beings are nothing all that great. And so best not to really play the synergy game of life because they just don't know how to synergize. They just don't understand the concept of sharing light and love, receiving light and love, and contributing on the basis of making others better and taking in better from other human beings. I have time if anyone wants to call in for another call. So please do. I want to hear from you. And again, holidays are high trigger times of the year, and expectations run high. Of course, people drink more during the holidays. Sometimes they eat more. And so of course, when your defenses are down from, let's say, drugs and alcohol, then you may tend to be more vulnerable, even though you're trying to medicate your feelings and stuff them all down. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And people end up being even more emotional under the influence. So you don't want to set yourself up for that either. So holiday time is your time, and don't forget to honor yourself, and don't forget to concentrate on healthy narcissism. And what I mean by healthy narcissism is putting yourself first in a good way, honoring yourself, minding your boundaries, the self-care, making sure that you're around people that care about you. And that's healthy narcissism, is setting it up correctly. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And there's really, really nothing wrong with saying no to anybody that you want to say no to at any level, from I'm sorry, you're just not invited, all the way to, okay, person's invited, but kind of stand back and don't engage too much with them. Is there anybody else that would like to call in and ask a question or two?
A lot of people in the chat room, but no calls yet. But
any questions in the chat room?
Let me see. Just a lot of discussions about family members and narcissists as parents. So,
and this is a time of year that's also idealized. You think about this as a cheery, happy, beautiful lights and presents and so on. And we're just coming out of a pandemic, so we're dying for comfort. We're dying for human contact, and sometimes people will throw themselves under the bus for any kind of contact, just something. And something's better than nothing, and I'm going to say no to that. No, 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 no. Something that's poisonous, toxic, demeaning, devaluing, and destroying, and vampiring is not better than nothing. Okay. A minus is less than zero. Get it? Okay. If anybody wants to add to you, beautiful. But you're better off at zero than you are at minus. Just do the psychological bookkeeping, if you will. And if there are no other questions, I just want to talk a little bit more about recovering from narcissistic abuse and what that leaves you with. So we have a special plan for recovering from this type of abuse. And if you feel that you're the narcissist, by all means, I invite you to call in, because narcissism is a result of childhood injuries, usually of neglect, or the other side of it, too much spoiling, too much unearned attention, too much being made special, and that's injurious also. In the book, I talk about a mother-daughter relationship where the mother was controlling and the daughter became so injured by it. She shut down so hard that she basically lost her power and lost her voice. And it was only through uh, taking her power back and expressing her full rage at this controlling mother, and a mother that fortunately I was able to work with and pull her into the therapy so that she could be part of the healing process, which, by the way, is not all that common. It's not that common for parents to step in and be part of the healing process. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens. And sometimes we do make it happen here at the Psychological Healing Center. So my point is that when people who have been injured this way exhibit narcissistic qualities, I just had a call this week. Very rarely do I get a call from someone who says, "Hey, I believe I might be a narcissist," and I congratulate people like that, because if they're able to say that, then they have some level of ability to self-reflect and self-correct. And usually people come into treatment because they very much, I think, after all, we're souls and we want love and we want to be loved. And when we have somebody in our life that we feel might be a person that we can love and somebody that we can be loved by, we might, after all, fight for that. And we might, after all, want to take a risk. Some people will take a risk to open their heart again and delve deep into this pain so that they can start to defrost their
Dr.
heart.
Judy, we have another call.
Okay, I'll take it, and hopefully we'll have time to get on it. Hi, thank you so much for calling in.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi. Hi. Yes. I love your show. I just want to put that out there first. One of my other subscribers had recommended your show, and it has been an eye opener to what I've seen for years now. And honestly, it started out, to be honest, I've started to see the patterns with my own mother, and how she has, honestly, some of her behaviors have came in between me and my sister's relationship, and I became like the golden child. It's been a lot of animosity between us throughout the years, a lot of ridiculous competition, a lot of ruined birthdays. My last birthday, I did not want, I love her, but I was like, I really didn't want her to come, because I said to myself, I said, she's going to ruin it. She's going to ruin my birthday. And it was just a regular dinner, nothing special. But before the food even got to the table, it was ruined. She took back the offer of paying for my food because it was my birthday. And I believe the waitress maybe complimented something, maybe my earrings or something. But I guess that was a trigger. it was a trigger, and I didn't want to cry, but I did. I cried because I knew it. I knew it. It was a disappointment that I didn't want, but I just knew it. And I think that hurt the worst because I knew it. And I'm like, why is this dynamic
Yeah, I
so?
want to make a point. Where are you calling from? By the way, you could use any name you want.
Oh,
What name?
oh, I'm sorry. Janetta Kyles. Janetta. I'm calling from South Carolina.
Okay, I really appreciate you calling in.
Yes.
This is so painful, and another example of the WTF, what the Freud, because you go back to the herder and you know it. You see, there's logic,
Yeah.
psychologic, logic, and psychologic. And guess which one wins? You hear what I'm saying? Is that the psychologic, unless we shift out of the mess, paradigm shift out of it, the psycho with the emphasis on psycho wins, because it's pretty psycho to expect anything from people who lack empathy. Okay, it's kind of like expecting the snake not to bite and the snake to feel bad that it bit you. It's not happening. Okay, the sad thing is that you have every right to cry, and yet your tears are falling on cold heart. They just are, and no warm tears are going to warm that cold heart. And so the best is you don't offer up your tears to people like that. You don't. They get off on it. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, actually, after she left, that's when the tears came, and I told my mom. I said, "Mom, I told you, did I or did I not tell you that she was going to start some stupid shit that didn't make no sense, act out for really no reason? I don't know. But I believe it did stem from some childhood things. I don't know if she gave too much, praise to me and didn't give her enough positive reinforcement. I'm not sure, but she's more of a covert. My mom is the covert for sure. So she brings me all these foods, and this is weird. It's getting very weird.
So look, you're getting
food that I don't even eat.
Right, you're getting smarter and smarter. You now recognize that her injuries are going to trickle down to your generation, and if we don't heal at this level, it trickles down to the next generation. Credit to Dr. Marie Bowen, who I've studied quite a bit of, multi-generational transmission process. We transmit from generation to generation. I want you to watch one of my videos titled Sibling Rivalry. Parents are the cause, because they
Sibling rivalry?
Sibling rivalry.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, okay. Sibling rivalry. That would be a good one for you to watch, or anyone to watch that's in the situation of the golden child or the lost child or the scapegoat, or parents will pit children against each other so that they will rival and they will take each other down, and then they can gloat and watch the little pawns sort of off each other. It's just a very, very ugly thing, and I think that most people, we don't think that way. So when we encounter something like this, we're just like, what the Freud? What's going on? And so we don't believe it. Okay, so what I want to tell everyone, don't positively project on people. Positive projection is the opposite of negative projection. We know what negative projection is. Negative projection is assuming that somebody's bad, assuming that they're going to do something to you, disappoint you, hurt you without them having done anything. Okay? Now, positive projection is the opposite, where you give too much credit without that person earning any of the credit. So the person walks in and you think, wow, what a nice smile. Oh, that is the nicest person. What a friendly person. Oh, that person must be just so kind. I want that person to be my new BFF. And, this is ridiculous. Okay, people have,
Yeah,
concept called
right.
earnership. Okay, so let's not be naive this season. Let's learn our lessons. Let's give,
Yeah.
what? I
Yeah.
know we give thanks to health, we give thanks to family, we give thanks to wealth. Let's give some thanks to wisdom and psychoeducation,
Mhm.
and thanks to psychological healing. Because unless we're mentally healthy, then I don't care how much money, how much family, how much anything, because when we're not
Yeah.
psychologically
Yeah.
well, it ruins everything. So, I really appreciate
Yeah.
you calling in.
Yeah.
And, you could call for a free consultation and get the healing that you deserve, that
Thank
everybody
you.
deserves. Okay. We all deserve it because
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. And it's so sad because the best people, the warmest, kindest, most empathic people are the best victims for narcissists because
Yeah, and and I honestly think it's just I believe it's getting her in in the worst way, but I have to be that way. I have to be positive no matter what. She's probably like, oh, this girl's crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not putting up with any of projections that you're bringing here. She actually
yeah,
tried aimed at because I have MS, I have multiple sclerosis. Sometimes I use a rollator, sometimes, wheelchair if needed. But she came by my room and she was trying to project some type of, she was just like, oh, I feel so sorry that you're lonely. I said, I'm fine. I said, I'm actually having a really good day. I mean, like, maybe she ended up looking stupid, but I'm like, don't you bring that shit over here, honey. I'm fine. I have to vibrate high dealing with what I know I'm dealing with here
yeah.
because it
Again,
is serious.
they're gonna jump on your weaknesses, and it's inauthentic. Because if somebody really cares,
Mhm.
they'll be consistent in their caring, not manipulative in their care.
Yeah.
So please, let's
Yeah.
thank give thanks to wisdom, to healing,
Yes.
to respecting
Yes.
ourselves, to healthy narcissism. Let's give thanks to
Mhm.
being wise and outsmarting horrible games of life, and knowing how to think
Yeah.
like a shrink so we don't get tricked again. Okay, so all of you, feel free to reach out if you haven't yet gotten a copy of my book, Be the Cause, download it, start reading, and then the
Oh,
video,
okay.
yeah, grab it. You could also get it on Amazon, and
Oh.
you can also get the video series, which is a way for you to learn the mind map system. I advise that you pair the video with a therapist on staff to lead you through the journey. Okay. And I want to wish you all a very, very happy holiday. And I won't be live on Thanksgiving. I'll be hopefully enjoying my holidays and managing any narcissists
Yes.
that show up at the table, and neutralizing whatever I need to neutralize, and also anything else that I want to say. Just that the rerun will be the rerun I do every Thanksgiving, which is about stuffing your feelings, family, and stuffing your feelings on Thanksgiving. So thank you for calling, and just keep learning, learning, learning.
Yes.
And I want to thank everyone,
Yes.
my audience, for being so wonderful and participatory and kind enough to share life with me and the audience, and be examples
Yes.
of, of, of putting pain out there in order to get through it and learn something. So thank you for taking that risk. And everyone, a very, very happy holiday season. And I will see you live when it's not the holiday. And again, feel free to call for your free consultation. Take care, everyone. Good night. And if you've enjoyed my show, please subscribe to my channel. If you need help, please call the number below.
And if you've enjoyed